Hey, you guys. Happy 4th of July. Hey, hey, hey. As you come in, just say hey so I know that you guys are here. So, I'm doing this a little bit earlier than normal, but my family has some plans this evening for the 4th of July. This past week's episode of Mama June was pretty emotional, you guys. I'm not going to lie. I've actually put out two videos already just about some of the things that was discussed in this past week's episode because it was such a heavy episode and there was a lot that I think to talk about in this episode because of everything that happened. This episode is where Dr. Ish came in and he sat down with the family. And one of the things that Pumpkin said is that, well, they've all kind of decided that they want to move on with their life, not worrying about June anymore. That June causes them a lot of problems and they just want to focus on moving forward. Hey, Destiny. Hey, hey, hey. The reason they call Dr. Ish because they want to navigate going forward without worrying about June. And obviously they want to talk about like how this affects them, to be so over June that they're ready to be done with her. So this past week's episode, I'm going to go ahead and transition over because I watch it on Philo, but you guys, I have found there is this YouTube channel that plays every episode, and I've had people ask me a lot, like, "Hey, do you know how I can watch this for free?" I'm linking it in the description box below. It is the first link in the description box, and I will link every time I do these recaps. I will link that episode so you guys can go watch it on YouTube if you don't have like cable or something like that. Happy 4th of July, everyone! Hey, hey, hey! I hope you guys have plans for the 4th of July. We're barbecuing later this evening. We're taking our kids to my in-laws' house and we're going to have a pool party. And my in-laws are making ribs and baked beans and we're bringing the bread. So my job is easy. Bring the kids and bring the bread. Okay, so this past week's episode, Mama June Road to Redemption, it's season 5, episode 19, and it's called Boundaries. Anna, the way you can watch it is on YouTube. I linked it in the description box below, so just click that link. But I do the recaps every week anyways, so you can watch it, and then you can do the recap with me, and we do the recap, and then we discuss what our thoughts are. So we'll go ahead, we'll get into the recap, and I'll break down what happened on this past week's episode, and then we'll share our thoughts on the episode, you guys. It was so heavy. I may have shed a tear a little bit, just because it really was. It was a lot. So when the girls went to Atlanta a few weeks back, that's when Jesse, Pumpkin, and Alana all said that they were done with June. They're like, yeah, we don't have we don't have anything left for her basically because she's just such a disappointment. Hey, Denisa. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, Christine. Thank you so much. Y'all are awesome. So they basically said that, and then when Pumpkin was telling Dodo about that, about how they're all, just kind of done with June, she said, you need to call Dr. Ish in, talk to Dr. Ish about that. So that's what happened here. They decided they were going to call Dr. Ish in, and he came in to talk to the family, and the first one that he sat down with was Alana. He sat down with them individually, and then he sat down with them as a family. And when he sat down with Alana, you guys, the first question he asked her when the episode started is, do you think your mama loves you? And it was so sad because this is how she answered. She said, I don't really know. I think she's just too involved with herself that she doesn't consider anyone else. And then Alana said, but if you ask her if she loves me, she's going to say yes. But then again, she lies all the time. That broke my heart for Alana. She's 16 years old. She's been living with her sister for 2.5, 3 years. And for her to not be sure if June loves her, but to also recognize, of course she's going to say that. If you ask her if she loves me, she's going to say that she does, but she lies. So who really knows, And she don't even seem too, hold on, you guys. I got to figure out a way to get rid of these ads, though. She don't even seem too involved with it, like too concerned with it. You know what I'm saying? Like concerned with,
like, your love, really. I know.
Feeling that way. She's just like, I don't know, if you ask her, she would say, yeah, but to be honest, I don't know if she loves me. And Dr. Ish was like, I'm not going to lie, that hurts my feelings for you to be unsure if your mom loves you. They never wanted June around in the first place, let's be honest. I don't know, Shanda, because when you really think about it, who doesn't want their mom around? You know what I'm saying? I don't know of any, and even if, say, Pumpkin didn't want her mom around, surely Alana would. Surely Jessie would. I mean, for three girls that had a close relationship with their mom, just, I don't know. I think you have a good opinion there, and you're entitled to your opinion. But when I watched them on Here Comes Sunny Boo Boo, when I watched them on Tyler's and Tiara's, they had a really good relationship. They always had fun together. Like, I remember them in their house, the 2-story house that they had in, I think it was in Macon, maybe. Where was it at, you guys? In Georgia, the house that was supposed to be their forever home. When I watched them in there, they had and Pumpkin and Josh lived there. Pumpkin lived there when she got pregnant with Ella. They just seemed so involved. Like, I think if they didn't want her around, they wouldn't have her around. I think because Pumpkin can set those boundaries to be like, you've done enough. You sold the house that you were going to give to Alana. You sold all her things in that house. You've put her in situations she should have never been in, taken her to California when you were just doing a lot of drugs. So yeah, don't come around. Like, she has that authority to do that. You know what I'm saying? And she hasn't done that yet. And in this episode, she explains why. She's holding out hope. So I personally believe that they want her around. They just don't want all the chaos that she brings. And Dr. Ish talks about that. Dr. Ish says, oh, well, yeah, I think they don't want her around now because it's just crazy. She lies all the time. That's one thing. When she's around, she lies all the time. They're like, so you got a boyfriend? No, and then they're reading online that she's hanging out with all these guys. And so I think they don't like for her to be around because it's just irritating that she can't be honest. And they don't know what she's up to. Like, they really don't. She gives them false hope. The last time she came, she told Jessie that her and Jessie could get a house together and that she would help Jessie get a car since she's the reason Jessie don't have a car. And then they find out online that she's living somewhere else with this guy, and Jessie says she could at least called me and told me that we weren't going to get a house together because I got my hopes up. So I think the reason they say that is because they're tired of getting their hopes up and they're tired of her lying. I think if she would be normal and act right and not lie and just be honest, I think they would want her around, Yeah, Josh was very protective. I wish they would change it too. I think at this point, the fact that we're watching a show called Mama June, when like it's really about Pumpkin and Alana and Josh and them, it's weird to me. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Jessica did say that she was raised by Dodo most of her life, which I didn't know that. We'll go ahead. We'll go over this recap and then we'll discuss everything. But Dr. Ish asked Alana, he says, do you ever think about who you would need to be for your mom to love you? And she said no, because I know I'm a good person. I know I'm worthy of being loved for who I am right now. I don't need to change. And I thought that was a really good answer for her to, know that, feel that way. And I'm wondering if maybe the reason he asked that is because, when you grow up with a parent that's like an addict, I've seen this happen. Those kids, when they get 16, 17, 18 years old, they think, well, my dad does this. Maybe if I do it, that can be something we can have in common, something we can bond over. Like, have y'all ever seen that? I say you girls, I don't know if everybody in here's a girl. Hey, Amber. But do y'all know about situations like that where like a child who has had a parent that's been in and out of their life because that other parent has an addiction, when that child get like 17, 18 years old, they start experimenting. And the reason they start experimenting with those drugs is because they feel like, well, maybe if I do it, it'll get me closer with my parent. I've literally heard of that. Hey, Miss Leah, happy 4th of July. So I was wondering if that's the reason he asked her. Like, did he ask her, do you ever think about who you would need to be for your mom to love you? Just to see if she would say, well, I don't know, maybe if I did drugs, maybe she would love me then, But she said, no, I don't think about that because I know I'm a good person and I know I'm worthy of being loved for the way that I am right now. Alana also says that since June got out of rehab, she hasn't done anything that she said she was going to do, that she made a lot of promises, but she didn't keep those promises. That actually, once she got out of rehab, she just started running around and acting like she didn't even have kids. Alana says she didn't even put us as a priority once she got out of rehab. Once she You know, she made all these promises. I'm going to go to rehab. I'm going to get better, and I'm going to come home, and it's going to be like how it used to be. But she didn't do that. She didn't. She didn't keep those promises. Um, she says she runs around acting like she don't even have kids. She don't even worry about us. She also said that June has never apologized to her for anything. She's like, she's never apologized to us for nothing. The way she, abandoned me when I was younger, I had to move in with Pumpkin. Never apologized for that. She didn't apologize for sending me in an Uber by myself an hour and a half away from the airport so she could run off to Alabama to be with her little boy toy. She didn't apologize for that. And she didn't apologize for us giving us COVID. Like, she literally didn't apologize for any of that. Dr. Ish asked Alana, he says, in a perfect world, if you could have your mom and everything could be normal, like, what would that look like for you? And this was so sad, you guys, because a lot of times I think, so when I was growing up, I have a very, very close relationship with my dad now, but when I was growing up, I didn't. My dad was an addict as well, and when he divorced my mom, it was to be with a younger woman, much younger woman. I mean, not much younger. I mean, she was younger. My mom and dad, they were like 2 years apart, and this woman was like younger, and when he got with her, she was an addict as well, and there was just the focus was on each other and the drugs that they did. And I remember being young and thinking, like, kind of picturing, like, if my dad was around, what would that look like? If my dad was more involved. I even moved in with my dad when I was the middle of my 10th grade year. I moved in with my dad, and he still was not present, even though I lived in his house. I mean, the reason I moved in with him, to be honest, is he wasn't very involved, but my boyfriend that I was dating at the time lived in the same town that he lived in, and I didn't get to see him that often. So I was like, hey, I'll move in with Dad, and I'll go to the same school, and I'll be 10 minutes down the road. And but it was very heartbreaking because I moved in there, and my dad still wasn't around. He worked a lot. My dad's never not worked, though. My dad's been what he was, but he's never not had a job. He's always been a really hard worker. But he would work all week, and then on the weekends he would be gone. And I remember the first time I spent the night with my boyfriend, it was because my dad was going to be out of town, and I was over at my boyfriend's house, and he called and had my boyfriend on the phone and said, can you ask your parents if Net can stay the night over there? We're going to be out of town. And my boyfriend was like, to his parents, he's like, Net's dad wants to know if she can stay the night over here because they're going out. And I spent the night over there, and I was like 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? It was really wild. And as I got older, at the time, honestly, it was kind of cool because I didn't have to answer to anybody. I mean, I could come home on the bus or not, and my dad didn't really ask questions. You know what I'm saying? But as I definitely got older, I definitely realized, especially after I had kids, you don't just do that. Like, if I didn't get off the bus one day, if my kids just didn't get off the bus one day, I would be freaking out, So yeah, there were times where before I moved in with my dad, where I was like, wonder what it would be like if my dad was more involved and he got along with my stepdad and we were all one big happy family. So I feel like most people think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have that thought, like, oh, if my dad was more around, what would that look like? But she said no. She was like, no, I really don't imagine it, because the only thing I can imagine from mama is failure. The only thing I can think of when it comes to her, like, if I try to get my hopes up of, oh, if she comes back in my life, it would be so great. I don't think that. I think, oh, if she comes back into my life and she tries to be the mama that I once had, she's just going to let me down. It'll end up letting me down again, Yeah, Kate Cooper. It was the same with my dad. My dad did drink, but that wasn't his drug of choice, so to speak. Now me and my dad are very close. Me and my sister put him into a really good rehab, and he got out. We bought him a place to live, and my sister actually bought a business that my dad's always been a big truck driver. So my sister bought a big truck for him to drive, and he does well now, So but growing up, it was a lot different. But she says, no, I really can't imagine it, because when it comes to June, I just think about failure all the time. Like, I don't even want to get my hopes up. After that, Dr. Ish tells Alana that he says, I wish June could just be a good mom for you. And Alana kind of laughs, and she says, we all wish that. She's like, we all kind of wish that she would be a better mom to me. And then Alana says something even more shocking, and I'm glad that she said this. And I even got a little tickle out of her when she said it. But she said, nobody would even know who she was if it wasn't for me. Like, Mama wouldn't even be famous if it wasn't for me. Like, I'm the reason people know who she is. And he's like, that's right. It was Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. Like, we were introduced to you, and we didn't find out who June was until much later on. And I just kind of wonder. I heard that Mama June watches each episode every Friday night on her TikTok. That she goes live on TikTok, and she can she don't show it, but you can hear it in the background, and she kind of talks about the episode. I need to start watching her do this because I would love to hear what she had to say about that, about Alana pointing that out. Like, and Dr. Ish said, you were the reason the family become famous, and now here she is, like, blowing all your money, basically the money that you earned for her, basically, because your name is what was the household name. It was your name, and then she's blowing all your money basically on all these guys. She's not helping y'all out. Now someone did say, thank you, Kay. Yeah, he's like my best friend now. But someone did say, well, no, we knew of Mama June because she was on extreme couponing. And I don't know. I looked it up after I read that comment, and I couldn't find any episode that she was on, but it's very possible. I could not find where she was on an episode, but I did see that there was an episode of Here Comes Honey Boo Boo that was focused around Mama June's extreme couponing. And I do remember it being talked about on Honey Boo Boo. So I'm not for sure. Does anyone know if Mama June was ever actually on the show Extreme Couponing, or was there just one of the episodes from Here Comes Honey Boo Boo that was focused around her couponing? Because that's what I think may have been. But either way, even if she was on an episode of Extreme Couponing, nobody knew who June was without Honey Boo Boo. So anyways, she brings that up, that if it wasn't for her, nobody would know who June was. And he's like, yeah, now here Mama June is spending all that money that basically you made for her. You made it easy for her to make that money. She's blowing it on other people and not helping y'all. He then asked her about her social life, like boyfriends and stuff. And she blushes and she kind of laughs. And he's like, so you got a boyfriend? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, I hope he's a good guy. I hope he's nice. And she says, yeah, really nice. She probably fast forwards through those scenes. But I'm going to start keeping my eye on TikTok to see if I can catch June live watching this show. And if I can, I'm going to screen record it so I can give commentary about that. Because I did hear that she does that. Yeah, I remember it being on Honey Boo Boo, but I don't remember her having her own episode of that. So I'm not sure. So she basically says, like, yeah, I like the guy that I'm talking to. He's really sweet. It's my first relationship. And Dr. Ish points out, remember, like, if he is one of those guys that you got to buy him things, to keep him, then he's not worth your time, Oh, crap. He's not worth your time. June. I'm gonna do it. If you got to spend money on him, get rid of him. Be with someone that's going to love you for you, like you for you. But at the point where he starts expecting things from you, it's not good. That's kind of the example that June has given Alana is the type of man that you date. If you have to buy things for those men, it's okay. It's okay to buy those love, it's okay to have to buy somebody's love, but he's like, it's not. It's not. If you have to buy cars for them, no, it's not a good thing. And she's like, yeah, I know that. And she says, one thing that she has taught me is the type of man I don't want to be with. That's something else that she says. She says the type of man that Mama June is with is the type of man I want nothing to do with. And I thought, good for you, Alana. Good for you that that's something that you did get from Mama June. Is like, hey, that's the type of man I do not want to be with. After that, Jesse went in and sat down with Dr. Ish. That's kind of weird. Let me change that. And Jessie actually told Pumpkin and Josh and Alana that she wasn't going to cry. She's like, so what happens when you talk to Dr. Ish? And they're like, oh, he'd be bringing the feels out in you. You get emotional when you talk to him because of the questions that he asks you. And she says, yeah, I'm not going to get emotional. And they're like, we'll see. So Jessie, she goes and she sits down with Dr. Ish. And Dr. Ish asked her, her feelings on June. And she's just like, you know what? I'm just kind of over it. Like, Mama's a liar. I've just kind of come to terms with who she is and not getting my hopes up for her to do any better, be any better, or anything like that. Sounds good, Miss Leah. Yeah, definitely let me know. So he says, when did you realize, what type of person June was? Because she says, I've come to learn you take what she says with a grain of salt. Anything Mama says, take it with a grain of salt. Unless you see it, don't believe it. And he says, when did you learn that? Like, when did you realize that? And she says, I realized that when Mama pawned my car. So I've seen people say, why does June owe Jesse a car? And I'm like, oh, because Jesse had a car and June pawned the title. Now, obviously, if June was able to pawn that title, that car may have been in June's name. But from my understanding, Jesse was working to pay that car note, or she had paid for that car, that it was in June's name, but Jessica had actually been the one to pay for it. So June, when June was in the middle of her addiction, she pawned the title to the car, which I've never heard of that happening. I actually used to work, and I could be wrong, but I used to work at a loan company. And when you used your car for the collateral, you had to bring the car up there. We had to take pictures of it. We had to make sure the title that you gave us matched the car. We had to go through this process. You couldn't just bring a title up there and say, give me money. You needed to bring the car up there. So I was actually like, dang, how did she do that? How did she pawn the title of the car without the car? But whatever. Either way, the car got repossessed and Jessie was left walking. So Jessie said, when she pawned the title on my car was when I really started figuring out, how terrible she was. And Jessie breaks down, and she says, she breaks down basically talking about how she sees June buying all these cars for these guys and buying houses for these guys. She's like, he's 24 years old and she's buying him 2 cars and a house. I'm 24 years old. She could be helping me rather than some nobody, I think it really, she's like, he's 24, I'm 24, I'm her daughter. She owes me a car. She could be doing these things for me, but she's not. And Jessie breaks down over that. Dr. Ish asked Jessie, how has June being the way that she is, how has it affected you? And she said, well, the first half of my life, I lived with Dodo anyways. Like, I didn't really know what June was up to anyways because I was raised by Dodo the first half of my life. And then Dr. Ish asked, what would you say to June if she moved back here and was around every day? Like, what would you say to that? How would you feel to that? Or what would that say to you? If Mama June moved back to Georgia, was around y'all every day, she stopped lying, and, what would that tell you? And she said, that would tell me that she cares, that we're her priority again. And she's crying through this, you guys, and it was sad to see Jessica cry. I've never seen Jessica cry, which Jessica hasn't been very active on the show until this season. But that was sad to see her break down after her telling Pumpkin and Josh, I'm not going to break down. But she breaks down and she says, if she was to be back here all the time and not lying and it could be normal, then that would tell me that she cares and that she's putting us as a priority. Dr. Ish said that it would tell you that she loves you enough to be back in your life, right? And loves you enough to come back and stick around. And Jessie says, yeah. And Dr. Ish says, like Pumpkin and Josh, like how they've stuck around and they've been there for you. It would tell you that they love you, that she loves you enough to do what they're doing for you. And she's like, yeah. And she says that Josh and Pumpkin have done a lot for her. And she says, I'm grown. I realize I'm grown. And they could have told me when I asked to move in with them, when I told them that I needed help, they could have told me, no, you're grown. Do what you want to do. Yes, Miss Leah, from my understanding, Sugar Bear and Jennifer are divorced. Sugar Bear is seeing a girl named Heather. Jennifer is seeing a man named, I'll tell you in a minute, I got it in my phone. Also, Jennifer is a part of some movie. I don't know if it's like a actual movie or like some indie movie or whatever, but I'm friends with her on Facebook, and I literally seen where she posted about being in a movie. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, Sugar Bear, he's getting this full makeover, new teeth, lipo, everything. But he hasn't seen Alana, from my knowledge. But she says, yeah, they could have told me that I'm grown, make it on your own, but they didn't. They let me live here. They have been there for me. They've never turned their backs on me. So I'm thankful for that. Um, she said it shows her that they, really do care. And then Dr. Ish said something to Jesse that rings so true. He said parents intentionally teach their kids things, right? So sometimes parents intentionally teach their kids things, and sometimes parents unintentionally teach their kids things. And June has taught y'all as a family what not to do, how not to behave, what type of parent not to be. And because of that, now y'all can be great parents to Alana, to Ella, to Bentley. June has taught y'all how to be better. Oh my goodness, yes. I can't wait till we get to that to talk about that because that was crazy. So she says, she may not have taught y'all anything intentionally, but unintentionally, she taught y'all what not to be and how not to act and the type of parent you don't want to be. And because of that, Ella and Bentley and Alana, they're going to have people who put them as a priority. After that, Josh and Pumpkin sit down with Dr. Ish. And he asks Josh, he says, "How's it going, Josh?" And Josh goes right into it, you guys. Josh tells Dr. Ish that he's done. He's like, you know what? I've dealt with a lot, but I draw the line when June comes over here and she gives my babies COVID. Like, that is enough for me. And Dr. Ish is like, yeah, that's a lot, right? And he goes, it was my newborn. Jennifer Pumpkin has already given birth to the twins. Stella and Silas are their names, I think. One weigh like 6 pounds and 1 ounce, and one was like 5 pounds and something ounces, and she had them back in May. So yes, she did in fact have twins. So he says, and then he says, it's a repetitive cycle with June. It's never ending. June is just an effing big line piece of crap. I've never heard Josh talk like this, you guys, but he is like, June is a big line piece of, and he don't say crap, he says the S word, which y'all know. Oh, let me back it up a little bit. He's like, she's a big line piece of crap. And he says she has nothing better to do than to look out for herself. She's not going to think about anybody else except herself. June is, and then he tells Pumpkin, he says, June, the situation with June is pushing me to where I want to find an escape. I don't want to be here. I don't want to deal with it. I'm just over it. And I know this is about to go into a commercial. Dr. Ish instructs Josh to tell Pumpkin how he feels. And he looks over at Pumpkin and he tells Pumpkin, he says, me and the kids didn't ask for this. We didn't ask to have to deal with, somebody like June. We didn't ask for constant problems. We didn't ask for craziness in our lives. Like, my newborn baby didn't ask for somebody to be so reckless that they came over here with COVID. Like, we didn't ask for this. And he says, I hate to say this, but there's only so much I can take. He's literally given her an ultimatum. He's like, he says, I love you, but there's only so much I can take, and I'm at my wit's end. Like, I've dealt with her enough, but me and my babies, we don't deserve this. We don't deserve to have to deal with June. And he tells Pumpkin, he says that's why he's so angry, is because he's like sad. He says, I'm sad a lot from having to deal with this. And then I don't say anything, and that sadness turns to anger. So then I have a lot of built up anger, and then I lash out at you. And he says something about putting holes in the walls. I don't know. Even on the show, I just feel like Josh doesn't have that type of temperament, really. Like, I feel like if Josh is punching a hole in the wall, I don't feel like it's like all the time. It's probably like as he's walking off, because June's like done it again, and he's like walking off and he maybe hits the wall and it's an accident. He don't mean to put a hole in the wall. But I don't see Josh, because someone left a comment and said, oh, that's why we don't see their real house. Josh has done destroyed it by punching holes in the wall. And I don't think it's like to that extent. I don't think he's abusive. I I think he just gets irritated at times and explodes, and maybe he has punched the wall a time or two and it's put, whatever, but I don't think it's to that extent. And they've said the reason we don't see their home is for privacy issues. It's nothing to do with holes in the wall. But yeah, he says that there's only so much he can handle, and he's got a lot of anger, and he knows that when he lashes out at her at times, that she's not deserving of it, but he just wants her to set a boundary. He's like, the reason I lash out at you is because I want you to set a boundary with your mom. Don't let her continue doing this to our family. Pumpkin acknowledges that her marriage is suffering because of June. Dr. Ish tells Pumpkin to respond, and she's like, I know that my mom has caused a lot of problems in our marriage. I know the arguments that we get into. I know that's because of mama. I just don't know how to handle it. Like, I don't know what to do. And Dr. Ish says, so June comes into your lives, and she comes into your lives with these issues. She brings a hurricane with her, and she sits in y'all's lap, and she leaves. And they're like, yeah, basically, essentially, that's what it is. She comes in our lives, brings problems, and then she just leaves, and we're left to pick up the pieces and to deal with the problems. And Josh talks about how he and Pumpkin have a lot of arguments over June. He tells Ish that he's only 25. He says, I'm only 25. That's not the right. He says, I'm only 25 years old, but I have chest pains from this. He's like, I am always stressed out over it. He's like, I have chest pains because I'm so stressed out from June. Josh says that his anger comes from the sadness within, that he loves his family to death. He's like, I love y'all to death, but I have no room left in my life for June anymore. That's what he tells her. He says, I love you guys to death. I love this family to death, but I have no room left for June. And Dr. Ish asked Josh, he says, what do you want? If you could have it your way, what would you want? Like a clean break where you guys just forget about June and move on with your life, act like she never exists? And he's like, yeah, that's what I would want. If I could have that clean break, act like she don't exist, move on with my life, and I would be happy. And Dr. Ish tells Josh, he says, but that's not really possible, unfortunately, because this is Pumpkin's biological mother. And he says, because they are biologically, he's like, because that is her biological mother, there will always be a part of Pumpkin that roots for June. There will always be a part that feels like she can't let go of her mom. Oh, thank you. Chibinim? I don't know if Chabinim? Thank you. No? So glad you found me as well. Right, Ryan. There's a lot of people that I see leaving comments like, hey, I'm a recovering addict and I don't act this way, Never put a man before kids. Exactly. So yeah, he says he would like a clean break, and Dr. Ish is like, yeah, that's gonna be difficult because she's always gonna root for her mom. And then he asks Pumpkin, tells Pumpkin to respond, Josh wanting a clean break. You tell him why that can't happen. And she says, I hold on to hope that she will change. I hold on to that hope that she'll quit lying, that she'll come back around and it'll be normal. There won't be no lying. There won't be no man that she puts before us. It'll just be normal. And she says she also worries about June getting hurt, like getting involved with the wrong man, being around the wrong crowd, getting hurt, robbed, worse, So she's like, I want to keep that open line of communication. I want to keep that line of communication open. If something bad was to happen to my mom, she could call me. Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations on your 3 years of sobriety. That is awesome. Tomorrow I was actually supposed to go see my friend get her 1 year chip, but they moved the date. So my friend, literally like my best friend, is 1 year clean and sober, you guys. So anyways, she says, I always hold out hope that she's going to stop lying. She's going to do better and things will be kind of normal again. But she does agree that they need boundaries. Josh tells her, or Dr. Ish tells Josh that June, unfortunately, will probably always have to be a part of their life, but they can figure out how much she's a part of their life and how they deal with her. That could be something they figure out together. I'm going through my notes, you guys. Josh tells Pumpkin, he says, I just keep waiting for that light at the end of the tunnel because I know that it's there. Like, I know one day we will be over this hump, you know. And Pumpkin says that she knows that there's a rainbow after the storm. She says she just needs Josh to be there with her through the storm. And Dr. Ish pointed out, you know, that yes, they may be in the middle of the storm, but they're together. And as long as they do it together and they communicate and they figure out what to do together, then it'll work out for them. They said, I did watch on TikTok where they said that Josh's family is very involved. Alana said that Josh's mama is like a second mom to her. But they just don't want to be on the show apparently. But they said that they're very involved. After that, they all sit down with Dr. Ish. They all go back and sit down as a family with Dr. Ish. If I can get to the right. I really want to see that hug, you guys. So they all sit down with Dr. Ish. And Dr. Ish talks to them about sticking it out as a family. He says, this is your family here. These are the people that you're fighting for. Remember that. Always keep that in mind. And then he says, that was the support that they have right there in that house, the support they have in each other out there, they can accomplish anything. He's like, with what you guys have here and the support that you guys have here, you can accomplish anything out there in the real world. And then he asked them to do a group hug. And you guys, I'm going to play this clip and I hope I don't get in trouble, but watch this. Josh's face during this hug is like, so watch this guy. Look at him. Look at that.
I love
He's
that.
like,
Squeeze and breathe. Squeeze and breathe.
You know
I
what
love
I'm saying?
that.
I do love that.
He is serious when he's hugging them. He's just like, this is my family. He's serious. That, like, almost could cry. Look at that. Look at that. You know, you could tell in the way that he was hugging all of them. And at one point, he kind of put his hands up, like on the back of like Alana's head, like holding them in. He just looked like that meant a lot to him, you know. So after that, that night, everyone's going to bed. When they go to bed, they actually talk about boundaries. They decide that setting boundaries will help them deal with June. So one boundary they set is not meeting any of June's boyfriends. Another TikTok that I was reading. I do know they do hang out on TikTok, but this was filmed like 6 months ago, 7 months ago. So I think now they may be in a better place which I did catch them on TikTok fighting the other day because Mama June's boyfriend had popped off about Pumpkin and Pumpkin got so mad. So I think it's just an up and down. Sometimes they get along and they're fine. And then sometimes they're not. I mean, me and my family can be like that sometimes. Sometimes we're great, A-okay, and sometimes we're like, eh, you know what I'm saying? And they have this multiplied because they're on a TV show. And June's still, you know, she's a recovering addict that's still lying to the family, not putting the family as a priority. So I think, while I have said from day one, I think some of this is scripted, I don't think all of it is. And I saw them the other day going off on June because June's man had popped off about Pumpkin. So I have seen them hang out on TikTok. They do the battles together. But this was filmed months ago, so just keep that in mind. So I think they are serious. I mean, June really is a recovering addict who's putting men before her kids. She's spending all kind of money on these men and not helping the kids out. So I think there probably is some realness going on here as well. So they set boundaries as in we're not going to meet any of her boyfriends. And if she catches June in a lie, she shuts it down right then. Like if she's on the phone with June and June lies to her, shuts it down. I have heard them say that they talked about leaving the show. June is married. Jennifer Massey, June is in fact married. I have a copy of the marriage license somewhere in my file. But she did get married on March 23rd to Justin Stroud. She in fact did. Unfortunately, But yes. Now, after that, it's 1 week later. They talk about their boundaries, not meeting any of Mama June's new men, and not, if they catch June in a lie, calling her out right then, right? After that, producers meet up with June to film the move-in. Okay, I missed the first part of this, but 1 week later, after the girls and the family met with Dr. Ish, 1 week after that, June informs production that she and Justin are moving in together. So they go to film the move-in. So there's Justin's Mustang, for my understanding. Yes, I have the marriage license, a copy of it. She had just the girls were not there. They didn't know about it until afterwards. The girls asked her, "We heard you got married," and she lied. She ended up telling them about it sometime later. So this is them moving in, and production asked June, like, "Hey, do the girls know that you're moving?" Because she moved back to Georgia. Where she moved to is just a few minutes down the road from Pumpkin and Josh's house. So they're like, "Does Pumpkin and Josh know about this? Does Alana know about this? Did the girls know that you're back in Georgia?" And she's like, "They don't know, and don't tell them. I don't want the girls to know right now. I'm going to get my place set up, and then I'll tell the girls, so don't tell them." Now, what's so crazy is that when they're decorating, oh my goodness, you guys, when they're decorating, June was just talking to the producer at first, and the producer asked June, she says, "So are you in love?" And June says, "What?" And she says, "Are you in love with Justin?" And June says, "Yes, I'm in love with Justin." And Justin walks in and says, "What are y'all talking about?" And she tells Justin, she said, "The producers asked if I'm in love with you." And he said, "What did you say?" And she said, "I said, yeah, I'm in love with you." And he goes, "Whoa." And he says, "June." And she goes, "What? What? You're not in love with me?" And he goes, "It's only been a month." He literally says, "It's only been a month." And he said, "Besides, what did I tell you?" And he said, "What did we discuss?" And she said, "Not being an open book." That's literally, I don't know what that meant, but he asked her, he said, "What did I tell you?" And she said, "We're not going to be an open book." So I don't know if he warned her before they made their appearance on the show, like with him, like, "Hey, I'm not going to be an open book. I'll let them see what I want them to see. As far as our relationship, that's not an open book. We'll tell them what we want to tell them, but don't just tell them everything." So he says, "Besides, even if I was in love with you right now, I wouldn't tell you. It's too early. We've only been together for a month." Literally, they're moving in together. They've got a double wide trailer right down the road from the girls, and it's been a month, you guys. A month. And then he kisses her. It's so weird because he kisses her and says, "All right, babe, I gotta go." And he gives her a kiss, and he says, "I'll call you later," or something like that, which led me to believe that he was leaving. Now, I do see him later on helping move things in, but these clips are not in order, because from what I remember, when I seen him unloading something out of the U-Haul, it was this, right? He was unloading this out of the U-Haul, or it was like a big piece of furniture. And when I seen him unloading this was after this clip, right? So I think they filmed him helping at first, and then they filmed this piece, and they just put it in the wrong spot because the reason I want to point this out is because Justin gives her a kiss, tells her he got to go, and that he'll talk to her later. And then June does this confessional, and she says, "I know people might not understand. They may think it's fast, but Justin is putting in 100%. He's not like all the other guys who I put in, 70%, and they might put in 30, or I put in 90%, and they might put in 10, but it's 100 here with me and Justin. He puts in everything that he got, and so do I." And I just thought, did he not just kiss you and tell you bye and leave you there to finish, like, putting the house together? Also in that confessional, she says, if the girls want to be around me, then they're going to have to get along with Justin. That's what she said. She said, if the girls want to be with me, they're going to have to be around Justin. Yes, he's 24 years old, you guys. 24 years old. After that, it's so funny because Alana's going on her first date with Draylon, you guys. And Draylon shows up to pick Alana up, and he ain't got no flowers. And Josh opens the door, And Josh opens the door and he's like, hey, I'm here to pick Alana up for our date. And Josh kind of like scans him up and down and he goes, you ain't bringing no flowers? You didn't bring her no flowers, man? And Draylen kind of laughs and he's like, no, I didn't bring her no flowers. And he walks in and he's like, so what are y'all going to go do? And he tells Josh, he says, we're going to go bowling. I'm like, bowling? Josh is like, bowling? And he goes, yeah, it's like bowling, but with footballs. I'll double check, but I think he's 24. But he could be 34. Either way, he looks 54, and I don't want to bash him or anything. He just looks older, So he says, we're going to go bowling. It's where you throw a football at the pins, and he's like, all right. He says, listen, man, treat her right, treat her good, or you're going to have to meet this guy. And he puts on, like, his ninja headband thing. And they kind of laugh and giggle, and it's just kind of funny, that Josh is being this protective dad to Alana. It was very cute. Let me see. How old is he? How old is he? I'm looking up his age, you guys, but I don't see it right here. They met on social media. Okay, we know. Well, that's not going to have his age. I just want to know how old he is, guys. He's already, like, before he was even on the show, he had Mama June Road to Redemption in his bio. And he started making merchandise, like, really quickly. Which people think that's kind of like a red flag. If he put Mama June Road to Redemption in his bio right after he started talking to Mama June and he's already selling merch, he might be with her for the wrong reasons. 34. He's 34. Oh, it was Jordan McCullum that was 24. He's 34. Okay, well, a little bit better. So Justin is 34. Jordan was 24. She married the 34-year-old. Okay, you guys. So Draylen takes Alana out on the date. They go bowling. It's a cute little date. They're having a lot of fun. And he tells them to be back at 10:30. They're like, what time do you want us to be back? He's like, 10:30. Okay. So they're out bowling, having a good old time. But Josh decides 10:30 may be too late. So he wants to call them and tell them to be home a little bit early. But Alana's not answering the phone because, well, she's playing, right? She's hanging out with her boo, and she's having a good old time. So, no, she's not answering the phone. And Josh is, like, blowing the phone up, I think June may be in her 50s. Somebody Google it and see how old June is. So, Josh is blowing her phone up, trying to get in touch with her to make sure everything is going okay because it is her first date. She's 42. Jeez, I thought she was 50. My goodness. Okay. I feel like drugs age you. Do drugs age you? I feel like, yeah. Okay. So anyways, he's blowing the phone up to try to check on her, just make sure everything is okay, and to tell her to be home a little bit early. In the meantime, Pumpkin gets back from getting the kids from Dodo and Amber's house because Dodo kept them while they visited with Dr. Ish. So she's like, hey, is Draylen already came? He's like, yeah, he's came. I told him to be home at 10:30. And Pumpkin's like, 10:30? That's a little late, but okay. So he's like, yeah, have you talked to her? She's like, no, I haven't talked to her. He's like, well, I'm going to call her and let her know to try to get home a little bit earlier. So he's blowing her phone up, texting, calling. You guys, let me tell you what this fool does. Because Alana won't answer the phone and text him back, he calls the polling place. He's like, do you guys have an Alana Thompson there? Could you page her and tell her to call her father / uncle, or what was it? Brother-in-law, not uncle. He's like, could you page Alana Thompson and tell her to call her father / brother-in-law, please? So they're sitting there, hanging out, eating. Look, there, let me see if I can get... Okay, play little...
Found something you love on Amazon? I bet I can find it cheaper. With the cap...
Okay. Now I'm missing my movie because you're not
They're sitting there, and it's so funny. Because he calls a place and he's like, could you page Alana Thompson and tell her to call her father slash brother-in-law? And she's sitting there eating. When they do it, they're like, Alana Thompson, can you please call home? There's the guy right there. Alana Thompson. And she's like, what? Oh my goodness, what is going on? So she calls Josh and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, I've been trying to get in touch with you. And she says, we're on a date, you know, like, leave me alone. And Alana's booth, like he put his pants on backwards. And maybe so, I didn't see. I didn't catch that. But she's like, we'll be home at 10. I'm fine. I'm having a good time. We're on a date. Leave me be. So Draylon is like, do we need to go? She's like, yeah, I guess we need to go because Josh is being too much, you know, so they head home. But they're kind of cute. In their little confessional, he's like, you sucked at Foline. And she's like, you sucked at Foline. And he's like, you better be glad that you're cute. And she's like, you better be glad that you're cute. So, you know, just little teenage puppy love type of situation. So they get back home. Y'all, let me see if I can play this. They get back home. And it's kind of awkward. She's like, so, I had a good time, you know. And he's like, I had a good time. And Josh is peeping.
Hey, it's cold in here. I'm going inside.
All right, let's get cold out here.
Oh, first kiss. But I wanted to back it up because I wanted you guys to see Josh peeping. It's so funny because Josh is peeping.
I really think you said.
There he is. Josh is peeping. When they get back home and Alana walks up to the thing with Draylon, Josh is like, that's going to be me. Look, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? He's got this little baseball bat. Not a real one, but a fake one. Little kitty baseball bat. And he's like, and he peeps out the door and then they roll up and he sees them kiss. And like, oh, had a great time. Okay, bye. He's like, ugh. Josh is like, ugh, oh my God, so gross. Ugh. You know, so he says, I was going to give Alana a hard time about not answering the phone while she was on her date, but she's happy. She just got her first little kiss, so I'm not going to ruin it. Which I thought, that was nice. Let me see if I can get back to that face. Oh. Josh is like, ah! I love Josh, you guys. Like, I think Josh is literally hilarious. So Alana, obviously excited about her first kiss. Then we flip over to Mama June and Justin. They are, can we call him Sugar Bear 2.0? Can we call Justin Sugar Bear 2.0? Okay, so we got Mama June and Sugar Bear 2.0 decorating the house, and this picture says something about family. So Mama June like walks up, she reads it, she's like, oh, family, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, yeah, he's like, so when am I going to meet the kids, June? When am I going to get to see, you know, the girls? I really want to meet the girls. And, you know, if he is just with June for the money or whatever, that's very possible. I highly believe it. But he is like, I want to meet the girls. I want to meet the girls. So he seems like he really wants to meet the girls. I don't know if it's because he'll feel more, like, oh, well, if I've met the girls, then I'm really in the family now. Or if it's because he genuinely wants to meet the girls. She's about to be 17 and he's 20. So they're about 3.5, 4 years apart. Yeah. Right? Yes. I love Josh the second he made a hot tub out of the back of the truck. Yes. So anyways, Sugar Bear 2.0 wants to meet the girls. You better recognize them girls. They don't play. Y'all remember that one time that Pumpkin was like ready to jump on Sugar Bear and Sugar Bear like ripped his shirt off like the Hulk and he's like, I'm coming for you, Pumpkin. And she's like, bring it, Sugar Bear. That was wild. So he's like, when am I going to meet the girls, June? You know, like we've moved in together. I still haven't met the girls. We have this house here. The whole reason we moved here was to be closer to the girls and you ain't brought the girls around yet. And she says, listen, Sugar Bear 2.0. I don't want you to meet the girls yet because I want to save you all to myself because I just love you all for me. I think that is like the most lame excuse. She's told him this a lot, you know, like, well, I just want to keep you all to myself for the time being right now. Like just him meeting the girls, they ain't getting no part of him. You know what I'm saying? Like you gonna get him all back, June, whatever. But she's like, I want to get the house set up. I want everything to be in perfect order when I introduce you to the girls. And he's like, I feel like you're ashamed of me. I feel like maybe you're trying to hide me, And she's like, no, not at all. The girls are going to love you. When they meet you, they're going to love you just like I love you. And I'm like, oh, you probably shouldn't have said that because you know how the girls are, So she's like, they're going to love you just like I love you. And he's like, okay, then, all right, if you say so, but I want to see the girls as soon as possible. And he says, eventually you're going to have to introduce me to the girls. And she's like, I know I will. They're going to love you. Blah, 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 blah. So the next morning, they're having breakfast, and Alana gets up, and they're like, oh, how'd your date go, girlfriend? And she's like, it went good. And Josh drops the bomb that he saw them kiss. He's like, well, I was going to say something to you for not answering the phone last night, but after I seen you get your little first kiss, I decided not to. And they're all like, what? And Pumpkin's like, you didn't tell me that you saw them kiss. And he's like, yeah, I saw the kiss. And they're like, spill the beans. Like, are y'all going to go out again? And she's like, yeah, I think so. So everybody's just kind of teasing Alana about their first date. At that point, Pumpkin's phone starts ringing. And Josh was like, I think Josh said, who is that? The woman about your warranty, your car warranty, which you guys know. We always getting calls about our student loans and our car warranty. You know what I say when they're like, hey, this is so-and-so. I'm calling about your car warranty. I'm like, I drive a bicycle. I'm good. Click. When they call about my student loans, I'm like, I didn't go to college. I'm good. Click. But anyways, I thought it was funny that he said that because we're always getting those calls, right? So she's like, oh, no, it's mom. So June was blowing her phone up. June called her several times. She didn't answer. And then June texted her and was like, hey, just letting you know that I moved to Georgia. I'm closer. I'm back. So she's like, what the heck? Mama's moved to Georgia. So she checks the location because she still got June's location. So she's like, let me see where she is. So she checks the location and she's like, she's just a few minutes down the road. I don't remember if they said it's 10 or 2. But either way, she's like, it's 2. Yeah, I wrote it down. She's like, she's literally 2 minutes down the road. And they're like, what? So Pumpkin decides that her and Jesse's going to roll up. They're like, hey, we're going to roll up. She don't want to tell us, what she's doing, where she's at. She wants to wait till now to tell us that she's moved here. Did I say Bella? I meant Ella. Maybe Bentley and Ella. Maybe I combined it and said Bella. Maybe. So anyways, she's like, come on, Jesse. We're going on a little roll trip. We're going to see where June's living. Oh, there's the phone. So they take a road trip. And they're looking at the location as they're driving. And they're just like, I can't believe she moved back here. Didn't say anything. I tell them the same thing, Don. I'm like, I drive a bike. I literally have a 10-speed, okay? So they pull up and they're like, we don't know whose car that is. And then they're like, Mama can't even drive. So obviously she got somebody living here with us, because she can't drive and she don't have a car. So what the heck? So they roll up and they're like on the horn. They're like, beep, 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 beep. And June comes out and they're like, what the heck you doing? You wasn't going to tell us you were back? And she's like, well, yeah, I texted y'all. I told y'all. But they're like, yeah, but clearly you've been back longer than a day. Like you've been here for a minute. You seem settled. And you're just now waiting to tell us that you're here. And they're going off. Like Pumpkin is going off. About how hard it's been for them to like keep up with her because she's just all over the place. Pumpkin asked about the house in Alabama. She's like, what about the house in Alabama? You just let that drug addict keep it? You literally got a whole house and then you just leave it? And June says, I can leave material things. Material things don't make me none. Like, they don't matter to me. So that house didn't mean nothing to me. So, yeah, I just left it. And she tells June, she says, I'm tired of cleaning up your mistakes. Everything that you do, you mess it up. And then I'm left to pick up the pieces. And then she brings up Alana dating. She says that they're having to make sure that Alana don't pick crappy men like June always has. And then she says, thank goodness for Josh, that we have Josh around to set an example, for what type of man that Alana should look for. Because Mama June sure didn't set no example in that way. And June says, well, maybe I found a good one now. And she's like, what do you mean? And she says, well, I got me a new man. You want to meet him? She literally tells Pumpkin, I got me a new man. Do you want to meet him? And Pumpkin says, not really. Nope, not really. And June says, baby! What's... I'm not one of those people that, like, the second I know you, I'll call you baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, me and Sean probably was together for, like, a year before I started calling him babe or baby or something. But June, she know you 2 seconds and you're a baby. But anyways, so she's like, you want to meet my new man? You want to meet your new stepdaddy? Pumpkin. And Pumpkin's like, not really. June's like, baby. And she's like, I said not really. She's like, dang, Mom, I said not really. I really don't want to meet him. So Sugar Bear 2.0 walks out. And what does he say? He walks out and he says, hey, how y'all doing? And Pumpkin,
Because God forbid you'll never get one. Maybe I found one now. Doubt it. Would you like to meet him? No.
Pumpkin says, hold on, let me play it.
Said no.
What are y'all doing?
Pumpkin, this is Justin. Why does he look like Sugar Bear? What the happened to his teeth? The drugs?
Y'all work out on your own, June Bug. I'm going back in.
You.
Okay. So I kept that a little loud. I mean, a little fast. But he walks out and says, hey, how y'all doing? And she goes, why does he look like Sugar Bear? And where the F is his teeth? Drugs? And then she goes, and he says, y'all can work it out on your own. I'm going back inside, June Bug. He calls her June Bug. Who else called her June Bug? I feel like, oh, the kids call her June Bug. That's right. The kids have always called her June Bug. So anyways, he's like, y'all can work it out. I'm going back inside, whatever. And June literally says, she tells Pumpkin, she says, F you. Girl, I tell you what, if my mama would have said F you, I would have been ready to fight her over that. But anyways, I did see that some people got upset that Pumpkin said that about his teeth. I did see a lot of people saying, you know, drugs is not the only reason you lose your teeth. There's medical conditions that can cause you to lose your teeth, and I do agree with that. But I think the reason she said drugs is because Mama June has always dated those types of men. I mean, she met Justin is literally, you know, a recovering addict. He don't have as long as June has as far as recovery time, and he went to jail not long after they started dating. So I think the reason Pumpkin said that is because she honestly believes, like, the drugs were in his teeth. Like, I think she knows that probably people lose their teeth to other things, because I thought it was funny at first. I was like, oh my goodness, she just called him straight out. Like, she just blew his hair so far back, it almost flew off his head. You know what I'm saying? But then I saw people, like, mad. Like, hey, I lost my teeth, and it was for medical conditions, or I had pregnancies and lost my teeth. And I'm like, yeah, but I think she really said it because she knows that he has a history. But yeah, you guys, that was the episode. It was wild. I can't wait for next week. The only thing with when you watch it online like this, you don't get to see the clip for next week. On Follow either. When you watch it on Follow, you don't get to see the clip for next week. I don't know if they show it or not, but either way. Yeah, I think he's even said that he's lost his teeth to drugs as well. So June posted a TikTok with Justin, and I commented, take care of your children. They block people for that. Oh, did I just say block? I think I just said they block people for that. But yes, from my understanding, they get mad and they'll block you if you bring it up, anything like that. Yeah, June is so desperate for a man that she settles for any and everything. It's sick. He is so early in his recovery, and so is she. I promise it's not going to end well. And what's so crazy is she was like, they say two people in recovery can't make it, but look at us. And I'm like, look at y'all. Y'all are not even that far into it, though. How do you know? You don't know how it's going to work out. You know what I'm saying? Because you're still so far into it. So you really can't use you guys as anything because you're so far into it. Somebody said, I want to be blocked by Mama June. I want to get blocked by Mama June. I know a lot of people that have been blocked by Mama June. It's pretty wild. I was actually thinking about making a video about Jennifer, Sugar Bear's ex, because she has a new man and apparently she's working on a movie. I don't know. I got some of the details on my phone. Do you guys want me to make a video about that? And see you next episode on WeTV. Down to see. Right. I thought Pumpkin was within her right to feel the way that she felt and to say the things that she said. Maybe asking, I mean, to say if that was the first time they actually seen him. If it was, I don't know because I do believe that some of it is scripted, right? So if that was the first time she actually saw Justin, I imagine it probably was her first thought, like, holy, what the heck? He looks like Sugar Bear. You know what I'm saying? Why does he look like Sugar Bear? Sugar Bear 2.0. Like, what? So that probably really was her first reaction. And then the teeth, you know what I'm saying? Uh, would I let my kid talk to a guest in my house like that? Well, they were outside, technically speaking. I don't think it was the appropriate time for her to introduce Justin to them, to be honest. I mean, they haven't really seen her in a bit. The girls had to, she texted the girl saying, "Oh, I'm back," after being back for a little bit, you know. And then the girls had to go look for her to find where she even lives. And they showed up there to talk to her. You know, maybe it was, yeah, respect is earned, not given. True. The first time you meet someone, I would never talk to anybody like that in my because it's just not who I am to talk to people in a manner like that. I don't know. I don't because I don't know because I grew up watching the show and I always felt like they got along great for a while until June really started misbehaving. Like I remember them being so close to June. I mean, they may have given her a hard time over things, but I feel like they're kind of like a joking family as well. Like I know they kind of picked on her about not being able to see, and you know people having to drive for her. But I don't remember them being mean to her. I would have said a lot worse if June had put me through as much hell as she has them. I don't blame her honestly. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, you know, people deal with things differently, and I feel like in that moment, June should not have brought him out. June should have listened to them. I mean, Pumpkin is literally raising June's kids. Pumpkin is taking care of Alana, and she's taking care of Alana for the past 2.5, almost 3 years. And I think she has every right to be angry. And another thing is, Mama June wasn't paying child support. Mama June wasn't even paying child support the 2.5, 3 years. And Pumpkin told us on TikTok that it was not this mutual agreement that Alana continued living with her and that she paid child support. That the judge actually tried to tell June to pay $1,200 a month in child support. But June and her lawyer convinced the judge that June couldn't afford it. That June couldn't afford $1,200 a month for child support for Alana, even though she hasn't paid child support in years. You know, so Mama June, and then Mama June even made the comment that she would rather just sign her rights away than to pay child support. I literally have the TikToks where they all talked about this. She was like, Mama June literally said she would rather sign her rights away than pay child support. But we finally got her to agree to pay $800 a month. And the first month that she paid me that, she was irritated about it. Like she popped off about it. But she can go spend all this money on all these other all these men, you know. She has no problem spending money on men, but has such a problem spending money on her kids. I'm sorry, but I would be highly irritated. How old is Jessica? Let me see. Yes, the girls do talk to Gino at times. Like it's not like a constant keep in touch, but they do talk to him at times, from what I understand. How old is Jessica? I don't know if her name is Shannon or not, because I know they got like different dads and stuff. She's 25. Yes, Southern hospitality is very real. Oh no. Damn, I'm so sorry. I know there's a lot of medications that will make your teeth like really brittle. I have been pregnant 7 times. I have 6 kids, and I ate a lot of ice throughout my pregnancies, and it would literally, I have teeth in the back that are like chipped from it. But what did you guys think about the episode? In y'all's opinion, were you guys shocked to see Josh break down like that? I'm glad that he did. I'm glad that all of them did. Like I'm glad that all of them took this time to really like put their feelings out there. Even if the show is scripted, I don't think all of it is. You know, I don't think all of it is, and I think we got to see some of their real feelings. Right, Ryan. And what I had Jordan McCullum on, I did an interview with him a while back. And honestly, going over the things that he told me that she spent money on, it was over 50,000. I wouldn't be shocked if it was over 100,000 that she spent on him between the house, furniture, cars, trips to Vegas, jewelry that she got him, clothes that she got him. I mean, before me and Justin went live that night, I mean Jordan went live that night, we had been talking for about 30 minutes, and he had told me about a trip to Vegas where it was just money, 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 money. Things that she I think he don't know how to handle. I think Josh probably grew up in a house so outside of this type of situation. Like his parents are probably still together. His mom and dad are probably still together. You know what I'm saying? He probably grew up without this kind of um, messiness. I don't know. Never having to deal with this type of situation. So I feel like he just don't know how to handle it. So like him saying he put holes in the wall, I mean, it may have been triggering to some, but not me because I kind of felt it. I was like, could you imagine? All of this falls on him. That it all falls on Josh to make sure his family is taken care of. And now his family has went from just Pumpkin and their daughter Ella to the new baby Bentley to Alana to Jessica. So it's probably really stressful. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't take him saying that he's putting holes in the wall as if he's flipping out, hollering and screaming and yelling. I take it as maybe June doing something else and him turning around, walking off, and or maybe going outside and like, oh, taking a minute, because hitting something can just be, oh, you know what I'm saying? I literally know somebody that would go out back and hit their tree, like just hit the tree, you know, to take out the aggression. That's why they say like karate and boxing and stuff can be an outlet to release that anger. So I didn't take it as like him saying it in a way to where it was like terrible, but more along the lines of when he has gotten too stressed out, he's just maybe turned around and, oh, you know what I'm saying? So much pressure on Josh, yeah. I mean, but we've never seen him lash out on TV. He's managed to keep his composure, you know what I'm saying? And only release it when he's maybe by himself or something, you know? I can't wait till next week. I believe that's the conversation Pumpkin has. So she's Alana's mom, right? Yep. Yeah, I think that's where she does tell her that. Too much drama. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Danielle. Serenity, I've heard that they don't make a lot. I feel like they need their manager to step up and be a voice for them to give them more money. Now, their manager is Gina Rodriguez. Gina, right? And she was Mama June's manager this whole time. And June just fired her. And someone told me that June said on TikTok that Gina was like taking money from her or not paying her correctly. June was making a ton of money, like $25,000 a month on the show. But Pumpkin and Alana and Josh were not. But I feel like they should. Before I sign on for another season, I would be making more than what June was making. And I feel like she's just not doing her part. Have fun, Miss Leah. That's what we're going to be going to do later today. Yeah, I don't. Did he kick the bathroom door in on the show? Because I don't remember seeing that. Maybe, but I don't remember seeing that. But anyways, you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this one out. Yeah, Gina made sure June made money, but none of the rest of them. From my understanding, the rest of them makes nowhere near the money that June makes, from what I was told. Yeah, definitely prayers for you, Danielle. 100%. But we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna end this one. I'm gonna be back in a little bit. I'm probably gonna do like 2 or 3 more lives today. Not sure what the topics are. Yes, definitely add you to the prayer list. You gonna pick my nose? Oh, girl, I know how that feels. Ain't got time to use the bathroom and wipe your butt properly. You know what I'm saying? The bathroom door kick was so scripted. I didn't see that one. I need to go back and find that one. When he was baby proof in the house on the show, was it like a, oh, I can't get this baby, like, I don't know. I feel like Josh is animated at times too. Yeah, absolutely. Everyone have a happy and safe 4th of July. I'm going to go ahead and end this one out, but I will be back shortly. We'll be talking about other things. I'll probably do a pre-recorded video to give you guys an update on Sugar Bear's ex Jennifer. That'll probably be pre-recorded just because it'll kind of be a quick one. But you guys leave me your thoughts about this past week's episode in the comment section below. If you guys enjoy these chats where we go over the episode and we kind of talk about it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.